Hey, hello, it's Jen. I'm going to be teaching you everything that I know about making your own ukulele covers. I've been doing the whole ukulele cover thing for a very long time and the whole YouTube thing for an even longer time. So, I think I have one or two things that I can show you. Before we get into it, I do want to say a couple of things that I think are important. Remember that creating your own covers and uploading them on YouTube should be a fun thing. And I only say this because I know when I was starting out, I struggled with things like maybe like thinking that I didn't have like the right equipment, or thinking that, I don't know, like maybe the audio quality wasn't good because I didn't have a fancy mic. The important part is having fun, and with whatever equipment you have, just make the most out of it. With that said, we're just gonna get right into the video. Okay, so learning songs. Where do I find chords? Where do you find chords? I would say that my favorite resource is ultimateguitar.com. This is a very popular and well-known site that many other people use for like guitar chords, piano, you name it. It's amazing because you have access to all of these chords that just random users like you and me go in and put in themselves, and it's super helpful. You can find practically any song on there, and especially if it's popular, you'll find like different versions. Another great feature that I want to point out about ultimateguitar.com is that you're able to transpose the chords, and so what that means is that maybe it's hard for you to sing in that specific key. You can shift that, move it down, move it up, do what you have to do, and then you have chords that fit your voice, or fit like your vocal range. I do this a lot and it's super helpful, so definitely recommend that to you. And another thing is, obviously there are ukulele tutorials online here on YouTube, and if you look up like blank song by blank artist or band ukulele tutorial, you have access to a lot of great content. I upload, like ukulele tutorials myself. I think with that you should be all set with learning songs. So filming and recording. And before we really get into like the equipment I use and stuff like that, there are a few tips that I want to give you. So tip number one, record the audio and the video separately. So what I mean is you're gonna have whatever you're using to film the video part aspect of it. So like right now I'm using my camera, right? Like that's what I'm using. And then I'm also using separately, I'm using a mic to get the audio. So they're both doing it at the same time, obviously. So that's my tip number one, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Tip number two, especially if you have like not that much equipment, you're new to this kind of thing, all of that, I definitely suggest, as a cover artist, or like ukulele cover artist specifically, since that's what we're talking about, I would suggest investing in a mic before you invest in a camera. And that is just because, I mean, essentially what you're doing is you're recording music, right? And what is more important, the audio or the way that it looks? And personally, I think it's the audio. So my personal opinion is that you should invest in a mic before you invest in a camera. Tip number three, if you're gonna get a fancier mic, I like to say, but really just like one that, for example, I'll put in a couple of examples of ones that I own that I like categorize as fancy mics. If you're gonna get one like that, especially as a beginner, make sure that you get one that has a USB cable, just because that's going to be way easier for when you're recording your audio, and it's going to be great as a beginner. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the equipment that I own and use for my ukulele covers. Again, this is just I don't have that much experience with like using other equipment. This is just kind of what I've ended up with, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to start off with video. What I'm using right now to film, that is my Canon T5i. I've had it for quite some time. It was actually my brother's, and he ended up getting a new camera, and he gave me this one, so I lucked out. I was very lucky with that. And I have like a very standard kit lens, nothing fancy. it focuses on me. That's all I really need. So yeah, that's that. And I also own a Sony a6000 camera. That one has like, I have fancier lenses for that. So if you've ever seen any like crispier looking videos on my channel, it's probably filmed with that camera. I don't pull that one out very often, but I use that one sometimes. I've also used my phone many times, just like the camera or like the video aspect of it. I've also used like the webcam of my like laptop many times. Again, just use whatever you have, especially when you're first starting out. And now we're gonna get into the audio portion of it. I want to start off by talking about first my favorite, none of this is sponsored by the way, but my Zoom H1 mic, which I talk about constantly. I've been using it for years. It works great, and I'll tell you why. It's super portable. I have like a tiny mini tripod attached to it that I can attach to anything. Right now it's attached to a candle like container, which is why it's lifted up. I have it showing right here, and actually like on it I have this fluffy thing which is called a dead cat, and what that does is that it kind of helps whenever there's wind. It kind of blocks that out so that it doesn't sound all loud and stuff. Anytime that you've seen a cover of mine that was filmed outdoors, I was using this mic. Because it's super portable, I don't need to connect it to anything. It's an external mic, and honestly, it catches the sound so great outdoors even. Like, of course, you're still gonna hear the dogs barking or the people passing by, but it does such a great job at catching my voice, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for your first mic to buy. I would totally recommend this one. That's the Zoom H1. I think it retails for around like $90, which is a good amount of money. But if you're ready to invest in a microphone for the first time, I definitely recommend this one. I also have like a more fancy mic, and really that just means that like it has like a cord and it connects to my laptop and it's USB. It's not as easy to kind of work with as my Zoom mic, but I definitely like using that one because it definitely makes me feel like I'm like in a studio recording. I'll put on the screen right now somewhere which one I own, just so that you can check it out if you like. And they do tend to actually be pretty fairly priced, especially like I know that the one that I have is around $40 something, I think, which is pretty good. But I do want to say, even though it is cheaper than say like the Zoom mic that I mentioned, I definitely recommend the Zoom mic over that one, just because it's a lot easier to work with, which you're gonna really want when you're first starting out, in my opinion. And I just wanted to put it out there that I also have used many times like the voice memo app on my phone to record the audio. Use whatever you have, but just remember, try your hardest to record the video and the audio separately. So have two things going at once, because that's gonna make the quality better. And so now we're gonna get into editing the audio. So at this point, you filmed your video, you recorded your audio, but we're gonna focus on your audio now. So you're gonna take however you recorded the audio. So I normally, because I use my Zoom mic, I'll take like I'll take the SD card, put it in, plop it into my laptop, and then I open the file, and I use GarageBand. And for GarageBand, I'll kind of show you like a little preview of what I like to do. I don't really like to do that much. I'll like obviously cut my audio if I was talking beforehand, or like getting set up, or like the rustling, that kind of thing. But I do like to add like some reverb sometimes. A setting that I really like is the natural voice one, I believe it's called. I also like to add like some ambiance, and I believe honestly that's it. I do like to make myself sound a little bit louder, because oftentimes I don't sing very loud, so I do like to do that. That's pretty much it. If you don't have like GarageBand, if that's inaccessible for you, Audacity is a really great application that I used before I used GarageBand, and that one is free, available for PC and Mac, and it's honestly great. It does the same thing. I won't really get into that one as much just because I don't use that one currently, but I did want to mention that it is a free option and totally suggest it. I'm going to talk about adding harmonies really quick. So the way it works is actually really simple. So you have your audio track. I'm going to show you an example right now. Probably go into GarageBand. You have your audio, the file, the cover you recorded. You're going to be taking the mic. So say I have my Zoom mic. You're going to be taking the mic and definitely use headphones. And I'll tell you why, because if you use headphones, you're able to like listen to what you recorded previously, but then you can create a new track under that, and then you can record on that second track while listening to the main thing, and then you can add your harmonies while you're listening to yourself, because obviously that's going to make your life a lot easier. So use headphones. Seems kind of obvious, but just wanted to remind you, use headphones and record your harmonies, use your mic, separate tracks, and make sure that whenever you're done with that, I was just looking at my notes, but make sure when you're done with that, make sure that you monitor the audio levels, so make sure that your harmonies aren't overpowering the main thing or the other way around. Just a couple of things. I know this might seem a little complicated. I promise you it's not, and I believe in you. You can totally get it. I know supposedly I'm lonely now. No, I'm supposed to. And again, this might seem a little bit obvious, but once you finish editing your audio, make sure that you save it and export it, or I think in GarageBand specifically, it has like a share thing at the top. You want to do that, export it as an MP3, and you should be all set with that, and put that aside for now. Okay, so editing video. You don't need anything fancy. You just need something that can, trim the video, and you need something where you can add the audio on top of the video and file, and then you're all set. I have used Windows Movie Maker before. Worked great. Used that for years. I have used iMovie for a very long time. Works great. And I've also used something called Wondershare Filmora, which worked really great as well. And I currently use Final Cut Pro, and I do want to mention that Final Cut Pro does offer like a free trial. I think it's like 60 days long, or it's a pretty long trial. Totally recommend that. Okay, and this right here is the important step, and that is adding the audio to the video. Ideally, you want to be recording the video on one thing and then the audio on another thing. And at this point, you have edited your audio file and now you have your video file. You're going to want to align them. So what that means is you want to make sure that they're synced up together, that the video file, you can hear yourself singing, and then the new edited audio file, you want to make sure they're on top of each other and that they are seamless. So a good way to do this, the way I do this, is I make sure that the levels are up on both so I can hear it, and if it sounds off, maybe one's ahead of the other, I go in, make sure you zoom in so you can really see it, and I'll show you what I mean right now. You zoom in and you make sure that they're lined up, and essentially that's it. Once they're aligned, important step, make sure you take the video file and turn the volume down. Mute the video file, because you have your nice, crispy, lovely sounding audio file, and that is what you want to hear. You don't want to hear the camera sound, because it's not going to sound as great. You don't know, babe, when you hold me. And of course, an extra step, if you decide you want to, you can color your video, add filters, whatever. That's kind of more of like a personal thing. And that's it. Then you upload your video and it's out in the world for everyone to see. And that is how you make your own ukulele cover videos. That's it. That's all you need to know. That's all really that I know. So I hope that you found this really helpful. Let me know if you upload your first ukulele cover. I would love to check it out. I'm sure everyone else watching this would love to as well. Best of luck, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.